So this is the enclosure for the Porsche, the GT3 that we're building. When I designed this thing, I love Porsche. I think Porsches are one of the vehicles that we all want to have, we all want to drive. They're very unique, and I think when I was designing this enclosure, it came into my mind, how can I make it where design this thing so it can looks like it belongs to the car. So I started basically creating every single line on this thing with a curve, because when you see the car from the outside on the front, wherever you see it, you're gonna see those beautiful curves that the car has all the way around. Then you go inside the vehicle and it's the same thing. The console has those lines that they just go up and shape down like this. I think the design is wonderful on the Porsche and to be using. So we're using the Trulli 10, and what you're gonna see here, what you see right here is two holes. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna print the port internal volume that we have, and then according to that and with the specs of the subs, that's how we calculate how big and how long is going to be the port. That's how this thing is going to perform better. This specific woofer loves and performs better in a vented enclosure, and that's why we engineered this thing to be ported. Be able to play all the way to 30 hertz and be able to feel that bass, not just hear it. And that's the difference when you go to vented. So all those little things take into the design whenever we're creating an enclosure for a subwoofer. The Trulli is super shallow. I think it's the most shallow subwoofer that is in the market. Every person that listens to the Raptor, where we have two of them, gets blown away. Especially because we never talk about what kinds of woofers we have in the back. We always let them listen to it, and then they see that this thing is what is playing under those seats, and they could not believe it. They believe what they hear, and they believe when they see this thing attached into the box, but whenever I give them to them into their hands, it's absolutely mind-blowing, you know, because this thing is also not just shallow, but it's really light, you know. It's really awesome how this thing performs. So on this application, it helps us to mount this thing right here and still have plenty of room for our enclosure, and this is why we choose to go with Trulli on this application. You see my piece of paper right here. It's got numbers, and this is basically the design. That's where it started all. I usually just draw something on a piece of paper according to what I see from the car, and then I take these lines into the computer, and then I design the enclosure in Fusion. A lot of the times we can create pretty cool parts, but then we have to be smart enough of how we're gonna manufacture those parts. It's not just creating this beautiful thing if you cannot machine it, or if you're gonna machine it, how much time is gonna be invested on that. All of that gets done on the software, but then after that I come up with all these numbers and I do it by hand. I do it by hand just because that's where I feel more comfortable by doing it, and to me getting those numbers is super easy. It takes almost no time for me, and I just measure all of these by sections, and that's how I come up with the internal volume that is in the enclosure. This looks like it's the same distance all over, but it's not. In fact, the back of the enclosure is 34 inches, and then the front is gonna be 37. So the enclosure moves like that. And why is like that? Because the car is like that. The rest of the parts that are gonna be here on the corner, they're almost finished, and then once that's complete, this thing is gonna look very unique. So this is the two parts This is the two corners that they're almost finished. This thing has been printing for 5 days. So creating the part is sometimes it doesn't take that long, but waiting for the machine to create the part, that's where the time is involved. Everything that we do is made here with us in-house and designed by us and with our equipment. Like the fact that this machine can do all of that, while we can do a lot of other things, is just beneficial for the client. It's also beneficial for us. In the past, if we want to create something like this, the process here was to stack a bunch of wood and shape it into a form like this. It's not a bad process, but it's a process that takes a lot of time from me, a lot of times from any of the team members, and it's not necessary. You know, technology is here, and we try to utilize it into our max ability that we have. So this thing, it's how we're creating this enclosure. It's multiple materials. We're using birch, Baltic Russian, super strong, super rigid, and it's just a very nice wood in general. And then there's a lot of other sections on the enclosure that we can also create it with wood, but there's a few places where it's not necessary, and this is where we 3D print part of the sections of the enclosure, where we just print them really strong. And another reason that we're doing all these sections here in the center is because we're putting a lot of energy on this up, and all of this is for the purpose of making the whole structure of the inside of the enclosure stronger. It's not just to make it look cool or anything like that. It's absolutely to so none of these panels flex whenever this thing is playing into the highest level. All of this takes consideration whenever it's performing, and we want this thing to perform into the best possibilities.